the Super League. We talked about the European Super League. Everyone's talking about how the fans turned this around, how we've all won. Perez has come out and said it's a binding contract. These are all still in it. I don't know where these are going. That's probably true. It's probably very
Yeah.
true, and there could be big financial implications there. There was talk of Chelsea only pulling out because Putin put pressure on Abramovich to pull out.
Wow.
Because this was going to affect the Russian league. So there was talk that that's the reason why they were the first ones to pull out. I wouldn't put that past them either. That sounds very plausible to me. And of course, then John Barnes was on talking about, the nonsense behind the fans have done this and the fans have done nothing. Go into what he had talked about, and it's total sense.
Yeah, so basically, the media outlets who are covering the Premier League right now are taking great pleasure in the fact that their little slice, but some of them are trying to claim a much bigger slice than others about how they managed to help bring this down. Come Tuesday, when it was obvious, the lads weren't even on the panel, but they ring them from home and they get in St. Jamie and St. Gary back on. And Carragher said it 3 times he had to change. He kept either saying I or we, as in me and Gary, and I mean everybody. And he said it 3 times, and I was like, you fucking arrogant swine! Like and they were tweeting left, right, and centre, thinking they were great. But as Barnes said, it's very much like the fans are being exploited one way or another. So if they go to the Super League, they'll get exploited. They're getting exploited now because they have to pay for God knows how much the Sky subscriptions are. The new jerseys every half a season, let alone every season nowadays, and the wardrobe of a massive, like when Liverpool signed for Nike this year, I went on to the website on the Friday it was launched, and there was a 4-hour queue online to get in to have a look at what was in the shop, not actually to get into the shop online. Even the next day, there was a queue of a minute or two. Like, it was bonkers. 90 quid for a pair of tracksuit bottoms and all that kind of crack. Anyway, but he was like, the season tickets, half of them can't afford to kind of grab them every year. Like, it's the fans who were exploited year on year from day one back in 92, because he said that was the beginning of the sellout. And the same basis of why it happened in 92 is the same basis it is now. They've reached their limit, and now they want more. And that's all it is. But at what cost? It's going to be at our cost, because we're going to have to shell out to pay whatever it may be for this Super League. So he's kind of saying, you think you've won, but you haven't really, because you're going to be left holding the can, whether it's with the Premier League, UEFA, FIFA, and Sky and all these, or you're going to pay, or with Europa Super League. You've got rid of one, but you're still stuck with the other. So it's like, what's the difference? But it was very, very clever compared to just the constant banging a drum of greed, and what a disgrace it was, because that was their topic. Like, I'll just finish on this bit, because I'm not even going to get into this subject. But on Friday, there was breaking news of let's face it, arguably the greatest Premier League legend. 20 minutes into it, they were still banging on about the Super League, and then eventually just slipped it in at the end. Even though it was their top, in the bottom corner in Sky Sports News, they do 1 to 10, and it's their top 10 hit stories on the website, and it was number 1. And it wasn't until they came back from the ads till they brought it up. But they had every quote from the managers in press conferences, left, right, and centre, about the Super League for 15 to 20 minutes. They had people on the panel, and then they bring up something like that. Now, it doesn't. I don't want to get into that, because whatever happens to them. But that was big news to me on Friday. But let's still try and bang the drum at the victory of bringing down the Super League. It's a bit sad, like, considering, like, it's just they've managed to keep the spoils and not the Big 12.
Yeah, and there was quickly talk about a super British league where Celtic and Rangers were going to get into it. The other one hadn't died of death, and they were rising this one again. That's just not going to happen. They won't be able to just walk in. So there is going to be different angles that they're looking. It seems to be different angles that they're looking to try and create more money, because what they've done is they've just overpaid players, and they keep overpaying players, and now they've got to a point where they're losing money drastically. They're bleeding it profusely, and now they need to try and make more money instead of being logical and going, you know what, there has to be a salary cap within your club of whatever it is, 50%, 40%, whatever it is. Dave talking that it's 60% at the moment, but it obviously needs to be a hell of a lot lower. And then you can pay your big player whatever you want, but as long as you've only got 40% or 50% or whatever it is that's going out on wages, But they're not looking to do that. They're just looking to get more money in to pay the players a hell of a lot more money. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, look, at this stage, it's lost control. So ever since the big transfers took place, the Neymar, Mbappe, that type of thing has gone on. Coutinho, even when Liverpool sold Coutinho to Barcelona, that probably inflated the market of every other kind of attacking number 10 in the world, because all of a sudden now Barcelona are prepared to pay 120 million or whatever it was for Coutinho. Coutinho was never a 120 million player. Neither was Dembele, neither was Griezmann. You know, they're good players, don't get me wrong, but
it just shows and Maguire as well, Neil. Once Van Dijk was bought, 80 million was okay. You know, like, you're dead right. Like, at the different levels, like, it's just madness.
Yeah, and we haven't caught up, and it hasn't slowed down. And as you say, there's no cap. There's also no common sense either. I mean, what Barcelona have done in the last 3 to 5 seasons on players alone, they're $1 billion in debt. $1 billion in debt because they made a handful of really, really poor boys, and it's just crippled them. Now, I'm a bit delighted with that because we all used to lose our best players to Barcelona. We used to lose them to Real Madrid. But now you've had 4 or 5 lads go there and flop. You've maybe Eden Hazard has gone to Madrid for crazy money. They were after him for 3 seasons. He's after coming back overweight and injured. He can't even get a bleeding tune out of him. So where does it end? I don't know. Perez is a very, very savvy person. He's a self-made millionaire or billionaire. This guy knows what he's on about. And if he's saying we're going to bring it in some other way or form, I'd heed that warning, because something is going to give. Something is going to change. There's too many games and the squads are too small to pay the format that they're doing now. Does that mean that you give them all 3 billion each and we go about our ways and we buy another squad of players? It just diminishes the game. You're overpaying for very, very little talent. And they've been doing it for years in the Premier League. They've been overpaying very mediocre players or players off the back of one season. They need to come up and have a talk to Astley off Newcastle how to run a profitable business that you're not falling off for. These guys are the experts.
Yeah. Dave, just to finish off this conversation, some of the biggest problems in the game are the agents. Not all agents, because there's agents out there who are just making their wages and they're doing their job the way it is. They're not looking for but the Mina Raiolas of the world, and he'll be the top of the pile, so you're going to have to mention him, where you look for 20 million signing on fee for him, 20 million for the father, maybe of Erling Haaland, signing on fee, and then the clubs have to actually pay a fee for the players. It's just gone up because these people are demanding it, and the clubs are stupid enough to go along with it.
Yeah, like, just, what was it, a couple of 100 million on agents' fees alone last year, or for the first half of this year, something phenomenal. Like, and you know, they were never really around. Remember Eric Hall, Monster, and he had the big cigar. Like, you know, there's always sharks. Look, there's no two ways about it. But they're the ones that need to be weeded out. And if it is legislation wise that you can't get at the players' wages and caps, and I know there was EU laws at the time, but surely there's something that can regulate the agents more than anything, and start that way, and then slowly but surely work its way down, because it's just bonkers. And as you said, there's potentially 40 million to be given to 2 people just for having chats with the club, and then after that, then it looks like it's going to be around the 650 grand a week mark. So whatever million of that is a year, and no doubt he's getting a special sign-on fee, and then the fee to Dortmund. It's just, it beggars belief. And and Neil rhymed off a few of them there, like, they just don't make sense. And as whatever about the fee, add another 10-20% on that for the agents for making a few phone calls. Like, lads, come on, like, you know, we're in the wrong game. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of ex-pros are getting into it for the right reasons, because they don't want lads to be exploited. Because, like, even Pogba, like, as you said, Raiola, he's getting messed about a bit. He seems to be saying the right things, that he's quite happy, you know, but the other fella never shuts up, because he obviously wants to get him another move so he can get the next cut. Like, so that's what you're.
He's only going to get one more move out, Pogba, and he needs to do it quickly.
Exactly. And he's probably hoping they come second and he has a good Euros and then he can cash in.